What's crack-a-lackin', my young thugs? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be watching the racial slurs tier list. This caught my attention. I don't know what it's about. This is from Stockstick, so thank you for the video. Let's lock in and get started.
YouTube sends me to the Shadow Realm. Let me just say that this is an educational video made to inform the viewers about racial discrimination and is in no way meant to be a guide to becoming a more efficient racist.
Okay, buddy.
Alright, now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the good stuff. Today we're going to be talking about racial slurs and ranking them based on their offensiveness and the likelihood that it will cost you your job. I'll try to keep them varied so it's not just the same slur 8 times. And before we get into it, because of YouTube's content ID algorithm, we're going to be putting them through captures when they're up on the screen. Okay. But everyone watching should be human, so that shouldn't matter, right? Right? Let's get right into it, and let me just say that this is obviously a race for second place, as the first place spot is going to be going to the N-word. If you look at a racist's keyboard, you'll see that the N, I, G, E and R keys are the most faded, and I'm 99% sure it's not because they spent all day arguing about the social and political climate of the African country of Niger. It originates from the Latin for black, but during the slave trade in the 17th century, it began to be picked up as a slur and would be used in common language until the late 20th century.
Would I put it at number one? Honestly, I feel like it's like a common word at this point. I think I'd put it around like 5th or 7th. It's not that crazy anymore. Black people who still get offended by the N-word, I think you need to lock in, bro. Personally, it's not that serious.
Decided collectively that we probably shouldn't be saying that. The Merriam-Webster dictionary rates it as the most offensive slur in English history, so even the dictionary agrees with the number 1 spot. And it probably goes without saying that if you say this in any context, you're probably going to be unemployed before the R even leaves your lips.
Probably.
Next, we have the fruit slurs, which when I read it first, I thought they were taking the piss too, but no, fruit slurs are real. Banana? And it's to do with minorities who want to be white like bananas for Asians, who are yellow on the outside but white on the inside.
Oh.
Coconuts for brown people, and apples for the Native Americans who are red on the outside but white on the inside.
I never thought about it that way.
That's funny. Calling someone a banana. I would probably just look confused more than anything. Actually, I was wondering what we could do for the 5k subs, and seeing as how I'm basically anonymous, I figured I'd throw you guys a bone and do a minority reveal. So minority reveal? So if you haven't already, then go ahead and subscribe. For the fruit slurs, we're going to be putting them in the 10th spot, as, to be honest, more people would be confused and offended if you called them a fruit slur. And you're most likely not even going to be getting a HR email, never mind getting fired. I'll also add onto this that chocolate ice cream or ice cream bars are the same fruit slurs, but for black people who are black on the outside and want to be white on the inside. Then we have the slur for Indians, mostly for Hindus, which is Pajit, which originates from the name Pai-Ji and the fact that a lot of Indian names end in Jeet. Okay. It's used against Indian males due to the stereotypes associated with Indian men online, such as they are extremely horny and they're very nationalistic. True or not?
Indian men on like video chatting websites, they're a little freaky. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, this is why they have a high population, bro. I don't know.
They have been associated with the name and are now used in a derogatory fashion. In a similar vein, Mujit is the Indian response to Indian Muslims, which is obviously derived from the
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say
with
these,
the Mu prefix.
I don't really know.
If you call an Indian person a Pajit or a Majit, they're most likely to get pretty offended, so I'm going to be putting it higher up on the list. Maybe in 3rd place, although it could be displaced. And I guess I'll put Majit in there as well, as they're 2 sides of the same rupee. This one is a bit hit or miss on if you're going to be fired. If you work in tech with a lot of Indians, then yeah, you're probably cooked, but if you have a blue-collar job, you might just get a few laughs. Fuzzy Wuzzy, yes, Fuzzy Wuzzy, is a slur which is used disparagingly against Eritrean and Sudanese Africans.
What?
It originates from a poem by the same name that describes the respect that the British soldiers had for the Eritreans and Sudanese that fought alongside the British Army, and relates to their hair being frizzy. Originally, it had positive connotations, but over time it became more and more associated with anti-African racism, which is just life, I guess. I'm probably going to be putting this in the 9th spot, as for what it's worth, it's one of the less offensive slurs on this list, as it started out in admiration and not just hate from the beginning. Similar to the fruit slurs, it's pretty niche and uncommon, so we'll probably fly under the radar.
I just realized, are these going by like if you, these are going by like if you, 3 minutes in, I'm slow. These are going by if you be fired from them or not. Okay, then the Edward would definitely be up top, okay. Yeah, okay, I understand.
He said this at work. Although you would get some weird stares. Next up is chink, which is a slur that is used against Chinese people primarily, but as racists do, it's also used against people with hooded eyes.
I definitely say I can get you fired.
Some speculate it may have originated from the Chinese phrase ching ching, which is a courtesy, but others argue it wasn't really that popularized until labor shortages in the west coast of America led to an immigration boom of primarily Chinese nationals who were expert fishermen. And when an American patented his own fish gutting machine, he named it the Iron Chink, and its popularity just grew from there until it was in mainstream use. Okay. This one is similar to Pajit, as in the chances of you losing your job are very environment dependent, but I'd say that it doesn't offend as much as being called a Pajit, and I would know because I've been called both, despite being from neither region. So I'll put it in a respectable 5th place.
So
Cracker is going to be our next racial slur, and honestly,
the old cracker. I don't think cracker is a little crazy. Calling someone a cracker at work, I don't think it'll get you fired if I'm not making an excuse here, but if you're black and you're calling a white person a cracker, for some reason I don't think you're gonna be fired for it. Even as a white person, you wouldn't be fired for that. I don't think so. It just depends on the context, honestly. If the person was being rude to you first, and then you like, blurted out, called them a cracker, I can kind of see it. It's like someone saying the N-word to a black person who's being rude. Like, and like, I don't know how to explain it. So, all right. So a black person being crazy, being a the N-word, or being a nigga, like a black person being a nigga. That's like you can understand in a certain context. It's the same thing with cracker. I don't know if I'd say number 2 or 3. But he put his in number. He put Pajit in number 3, so I'm assuming he's gonna put it in number 2 here. That's the only place where
it's a bit of a push to call it a racial slur because I don't think I've ever seen a white person offended by being called.
That's what I'm saying, right? I haven't seen them being offended by it, but I know some are. Like I know some. They don't say it, but I know some are. I'd be offended.
It's like water off a duck's back. It apparently originates from the noise that whips would make, which I don't get how that's offensive. Bonus slurs include mayo monkey, vanilla gorilla, bleached demons, unscented candles, etc. But some of these sound pretty cool if I'm being honest. Imagine just chilling with your homie and he goes, "What's up, my vanilla gorilla?" I'd be hyped. It's gonna go in 8th because it's weak,
8?
But the other ones below are more dumb, so yeah. And you're probably not gonna get fired. You're actually more likely to get a promotion.
I haven't seen anyone get
with your
mad,
boss.
I mean, I feel like they could. Like
a lesser known slur is goy, which refers to all non-Jews, and its origins are from the Talmud, which is the holy book of the Jews. The translation is similar to farm animals / creatures that are lesser, and I didn't actually know about this one until recently. But yeah, now you know that some Jews refer to all non-Jews as farm animals, so do with that knowledge as you wish. Okay. But I'm going to put it in 7th, just ahead of cracker, as it's pretty unknown and not many people would take offense because of that, and similarly wouldn't bring it up to HR. Uncle Tom is a slur that is used primarily by black people to disparage other black people for acting in a way that they deem slave-like, but it didn't originally have the same meaning. Okay. The term came from the character Uncle Tom in Harriet Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, and in the story Uncle Tom is beaten to death for protecting the whereabouts of his fellow slaves. This was distorted in subsequent plays that portrayed him as a self-serving sellout who betrays his fellow slaves, and the theme of selling out to the white man stuck with the character and led to the slur that we have today. Because it's mostly used by black people to describe other black people, you probably wouldn't lose your job for saying it if you're black. However, I wouldn't try this if you're a white person.
But I feel like the black person wouldn't know what the fuck you're talking about anyway, so I mean, I don't think he'd be fired from that either.
For that reason, I'm going to be putting it in the 6th spot. Our second to last racial slur is Paki, which is a slur used to disparage Pakistani Asians and rose to popularity during racial tensions in the UK in the 60s and 70s. Racist nationals would form Paki-bashing groups to harass and attack Pakistanis and South Asians, which led to thousands of racially charged attacks and even some deaths. These sparked outrage in the formation of British Asian youth movements to protect their communities, and eventually through social and political change, the clashes stopped. I'm going to put this in the 5th spot, as you could argue it's similar to Chink. However, I think the history of violence puts it over the edge. And again, I'd say it has the potential to cost you your job, but it could also just lead to having to attend some racial mindfulness sessions. Our final racial slur, the unofficial first place slur, we have the K word, which rhymes with bike and is used to refer to Jews. Given by the fact that first and second place I'm saying K and N word, you can tell that the use of these words are probably going to get you fired from your job.
I don't even know what
I'm saying. Which rhymes with biracial slur.
What does this mean? K. Oh, no, I actually got to look this up. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. He said it was a racial slur for Jews. What? I don't really know how to explain it to Google here. I could be wrong. I don't know. Derogatory ethics are referred to Jewish person. Hate speech. Huh. Okay. Alright.
The unofficial second first place slur, we have the K word, which rhymes with bike and is used to refer to Jews. Given by the fact that first and second place I'm saying K and N words,
Personally, I've never heard
you
of
can
the
tell
word,
that the use of these words are probably going to get you fired from your job and potentially have your social medias / YouTube account kneecapped as well. The K word originates from when the first Jewish immigrants came to Ellis Island, and when they were signing forms they would use a circle, or kikel in Hebrew, instead of a cross to mark their answers, as the cross reminds them of Jesus, which they don't particularly like. This then led to immigration inspectors to refer to them as the K word, and from there it stuck. Not only will this get you fired from your job, it might even constitute a hate crime charge if you're unlucky enough. Anyways, that's all we have for today's video. Hopefully you learned a thing or two, and if I missed out your favourite slur, make sure to comment it, but no, don't do that. I'm just kidding, don't do that. I'm not trying to speedrun demonetizing my channel right after getting it. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you like...
Alright, cool. Good video. Good video by Stockstick. I'm not gonna lie. Some of these words I haven't heard before, like, I'm not gonna say them, but I'll just point. This one. Definitely haven't heard this one. I've heard this. Heard. Uncle Tom, I mean, it wasn't anything. I didn't understand I didn't understood what it meant. Banana, I never heard that one either, I guess. But yeah, that was an interesting video. Informational. So I know not what to use. So, thank you for watching. Have a nice night. Day, morning, afternoon, or week.